So after a couple days with this phone, the biggest thing we gotta get out of the way is the fact that the S9 lineup as a whole is by no means a major overhaul compared to the S8, but more so a refinement. I will say though, as far as what comes inside the box, it's a little bit of a golf clap to Samsung because there is a ton of stuff packed inside. Outside of the quick start guide, which I'm not sure how many people out there still use, you get a fast charge power brick, a USB-C to USB-A cable, a USB-A to USB-C adapter, a pair of AKG headphones, and a SIM card tool. Now the AKG headphones, they sound good, they're not amazing, but the bigger statement here from Samsung is that they've held their ground, and in a year where headphone jacks are few and far between, that is here on the Galaxy S9, and I know that is a huge deal to a lot of people out there. The biggest cosmetic difference you'll probably notice with the S9 and S9 Plus is the fingerprint reader, which is now right smack under the camera, no longer awkwardly to the right where you have to move your finger around and guess. This here, of course, is midnight black, or is it black camo from D brand? And I'm not gonna tell you some silly reason that you need this because your phone is slippery. You're gonna want it because it looks awesome. Link below. Now the one thing that I think is gonna get overlooked with the S9 and S9 Plus has gotta be the display. It still features that same super tall 18.5x9 Infinity display, but after using the Pixel 2 XL and the iPhone 10, coming back to this, you forget how freaking good it is. In this case with the Galaxy S9 Plus, it is a 6.2-inch display with a 2960 by 1440 resolution. The Galaxy S9 is going to be slightly smaller at 5.8 inches, but it's going to retain the same resolution. The S9 Plus in a way is almost going to give you Note 8-like features without the S Pen, if that makes sense. You have dual cameras, a main wide-angle lens that's going to feature the dual aperture that is shared across the regular Galaxy S9, and then a secondary lens that's going to give you 2x zoom. Honestly, one of the biggest things you probably heard surrounding the Galaxy S9 is going to be that variable aperture camera. That's where it'll adapt in lower lighting conditions and switch from f2.4 down to f1.5. A lot of people out there love it, but at the same time, some people say it's a little bit of a gimmick, which isn't entirely crazy. Yes, it is super fun to look at, especially when you're in pro mode, when you can switch back and forth. In fact, here's a super close-up slow motion shot at 200 FPS. Strangely satisfying, right? But what does that actually translate to? So to give you an example of how much extra light is being let in, what I did was lock everything off in pro mode. This shot here is at f1.5, and with the exact same settings minus changing it to f2.4, you can see how much darker the image is. Conversely, what I did was change shutter speed to automatic. That way it would compensate and keep the exposure around the same. With the f1.5 compared to 2.4, you can see there's a little bit more of that blurred out shallow depth of field. It's not a ton, but it is definitely there. From there, in a more extreme low light situation, to paint the picture here, it's about 6:15 p.m., well after sunset. You can see pretty much the only thing lighting my face is the phone itself. To kind of replicate the same idea, I locked everything off, took one shot at f2.4 where you can see that kind of matches how everything looked outside, but then bumping that up to f1.5, you can see there's a huge difference in light. The one downside I will say though, especially as we look closer at this picture, is the entire image as a whole is a little bit soft compared to f2.4, so it's kind of a trade-off. You get more light, but at the same time, the image isn't as sharp. So is this a mind-blowing, game-changing, revolutionary feature? I would say definitely no, but at the same time, it doesn't mean we should take away from the overall performance of the S9 camera, which is really good. Low light performance is fantastic, and of course, when you're shooting during the day, you're gonna get some amazing photos. You have great dynamic range, it's super sharp, the colors are beautiful, and I will say as a whole, the camera app is much more intuitive and easier to use. With previous Galaxy camera UIs, it was a little clunky, a little hard to navigate, but with this, you simply swipe over from setting to setting, which is way easier to use. So the camera is fantastic, but that other feature you most likely heard about as well has gotta be that 960 FPS slow motion video. Now to save that one guy out there a comment, yes, I realize this feature is not brand new or exclusive to the Galaxy S9 and it was on Sony phones last year, but at the same time, it doesn't make it any less awesome that it's here. There are actually two ways to operate this. You can manually trigger it, which is gonna give you a very short burst of recording, or you can set it to automatic, where it's gonna look for that action and then record that, and then automatically put that in slow motion. I will say though, with slow motion as a whole, especially when you're dealing with the sensor size on a camera, you need a ton of light to really make it look good. In this case, me and Rich were outside, it was getting closer to sunset, so we didn't have the most light in the world, and you can see the results with the footage are a little bit grainy, but still pretty damn cool nonetheless. From there, the other thing that the camera subsequently leads to is going to be AR emoji, which I have a ton of mixed feelings on. It essentially scans your face and turns you into this 3D trackable Bitmoji looking creation. I think this this kind of looks like me, which is a little bit creepy. I'm not sure how many people will actually dig that. I think more so what people will end up using is going to be the GIF feature where it turns you into a moving GIF, which is actually kind of cool. I will say though, Samsung's choice of animals are a little bit weird. We have this rabbit looking thing. We have this blue creature, which I'm kind of thinking is maybe a dog. So AR emoji. Now from there, the other noticeable difference with the S9 and S9 Plus are going to be stereo speakers. And as far as what that translates to over the S8, here's a comparison of the S9 Plus with stereo speakers and the single speaker on the S8.
So yeah, you probably should leave, that's my suggestion. You full of broken hearts and I've added to that collection. You probably got somebody that's perfect. If you neglect them, you'll be a contradiction to everything I'm expressing. Or am I just stressing and letting you leave again? I lost you once before and I honestly need to win. I probably got some morals I honestly need to bend, cause I just don't believe that you happy just being friends.
I will say it's not mind-blowing or again a reason why you need to go sell your Galaxy S8 to upgrade just for this feature alone, but there's definitely a difference. I'd say the biggest thing I noticed is probably gonna be the fullness, especially when you're consuming media, you have sound firing at you both ways, and that kind of translates into a fuller, more immersive audio experience as opposed to a noticeable louder experience, if that makes sense. Either way though, if you've never used stereo speakers on a smartphone, it is awesome. So those are my impressions on the Galaxy S9 Plus after a couple days. Hopefully enjoyed the video. If you did, and you are feeling like being awesome, make sure you guys smash that like button. Definitely want to spend some more time with this for the full, more in-depth review. So if there's anything you want to see covered or if you have questions, drop me a line down below. This is Jonathan, and I will catch you guys later.